Thank you, Your Excellency, the President of the 37th session of the Human Rights Council, High Commissioners for Human Rights, Your Excellencies, heads of delegations to this high-level segment, distinguished guests, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me, Mr. President, to congratulate you on your election as President of the Human Rights Council. My delegation takes this opportunity to express our confidence in your leadership in general and in steering the business of this 37th session in particular. You can count on our support in that regard. I thank you. My delegation firmly believes that continued interaction with the Human Rights Council will go an extra mile in enhancing the capacity of Zimbabwe to meet its human rights obligations in full and in keeping with the prescriptions embodied in the many core human rights treaties that we are party to. Mr. President, as you may be aware, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Mr. E.D. Mnangagwa, participated in the high-level segment of the 31st session of the Human Rights Council in March 2016 and was also here in March 2017 for the adoption of the country's second cycle Universal Periodic Report in his capacity as the overseer of human rights issues. Our participation at this 37th session is a further clear testament of our country's profound commitment to the human rights project in Zimbabwe. Mr. President, this session could not have come at a better time as we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the 25th anniversary of the Vienna Declaration and Programme of Action. It has also coincided with an exciting and historic epoch in the development and growth trajectory of our young and enduring democracy. The peaceful transition, which was occasioned by the resignation of the former president and subsequent constitutional succession process, has inspired hope and engendered a fresh impetus in our people. We continue to consolidate and deepen constitutionalism in Zimbabwe, including the holding of elections every 5 years. To that end, we are going to have elections this year, which the President has pledged to be free, fair, transparent and credible. In this regard, an invitation has been extended to the international community to observe our elections. Mr. President, we also continue to implement the economic blueprint, the Zimbabwe Agenda for Socio-Economic Transformation, which is aimed at promoting equitable development and prosperity for all Zimbabweans through the leveraging of the country's own resources. It further seeks to ensure that there is sustainable growth and development of the economy by, among other things, engendering unity of purpose among the different stakeholders. We are desirous of securing economic success and prosperity for all the people of Zimbabwe. Our special model of agriculture will sustain the country's food security going forward. Since 2017, the country now has surplus food, as exemplified by the fact that last season, nearly 3 million metric tons of our staple food was produced against the national consumption requirement of 1.5 metric tons per year. Mr. President, further to the efforts made to secure the economic livelihood of the people of Zimbabwe, we continue to strive towards the fulfillment of our obligations under international law, with a view to enhancing the promotion and protection of human rights. The government, together with various United Nations agencies, is currently working on a joint program on consolidation of human rights and justice delivery for enhanced voice participation. The expected result of the program is increased participation in democratic processes in line with the provisions of the Constitution and relevant international norms and standards. The program aims at, among others, enabling, improving, and expanding justice and human rights capacities for the provision of quality services and upholding the rule of law. Mr. President, following Zimbabwe's review under the second cycle Universal Periodic Review in November 2016, a high-level joint United Nations and Government of Zimbabwe feedback meeting was held with various stakeholders in order to map the way forward on the implementation of the supported recommendations. The UPR National Plan of Action, Monitoring and Evaluation Framework, Roadmap and Identification of Capacity Needs for implementing the recommendations were developed and adopted by stakeholders. Mr. President, further to this, we are committed to abiding by our international treaty obligations. To this end, a number of state-party reports, which are due for submission to the various treaty bodies, are being finalized. Concrete measures to align Zimbabwe's domestic laws with international human rights instruments that we are party to are also being undertaken. Mr. President, Zimbabwe is committed to relentlessly pursue the implementation of its national priorities, initiatives, and commitments, especially the national process of national healing and reconciliation. Recently, His Excellency, our President, signed the National Peace and Reconciliation Commission Act into law, which we are optimistic will ensure a people-centered peace, truth, justice, and reconciliation process. This piece of legislation operationalizes the National Peace and Reconciliation Commission, whose role is to ensure post-conflict justice, healing, and reconciliation. Mr. President, in conclusion, allow me to state that the Republic of Zimbabwe remains grateful to the United Nations country team in Zimbabwe, which has continued to provide financial and technical assistance in the implementation of our human rights programs. We are also indebted to the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights for the support offered over the past years. We remain committed to the United Nations human rights agenda, and we will continue to strive towards implementation of the accepted Universal Periodic Review recommendations, in particular the implementation of human rights in general. In our language, we say tatenda. I thank you.